Billy Lindsay is on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline, one of the more memorable goals in Panthers history. Panthers broadcaster now. You hear him with Doug Plagans on the Panthers radio broadcasts. And Billy Lindsay, longtime friend of the program, and he's a beloved Florida Panther. He is.
Yes.
You know you're a beloved Florida Panther.
Almost
in fact,
extinct. Rare. I'm back.
It's like Billy Lindsay was the voice of every Panthers fan when Plagans was calling the Stanley Cup win and everything. We talked with you about it afterwards.
Yeah, I broke every broadcaster decorum that was ever said.
But you know what? But it was so genuine. It was so genuine that Panthers fans who knew everything that you'd been through with the organization and living and dying by the Panthers, like we all felt that when it happened. So it was a great
let her rip, whatever.
Why not?
Let her go.
And as seems to be Bill Zito's methodology. Let it rip. Like get everybody. So tell us your reaction. Brad Marchand comes to the Panthers. I still don't understand why Boston would send him to the Panthers, still being solid and being nice to a guy who's given them everything. But what is your initial reaction knowing that Brad Marchand now is part of the Panthers for this season, this postseason?
Holy cow. And especially if Tkachuk comes back healthy, what you can do on the ice. And the Rat Pack, we got three guys that are the best chirpers in the world with Bennett, Tkachuk, and Marchand. They got the history. We are going to be the most hated team in the league. People are going to watch us, though. They're going to pay attention to us. And if you hate us, you're probably going to hate us. That's just kind of the way that rolls. But Brad Marchand is a borderline Hall of Famer, one of the best all-time penalty killers, around plus 300. He developed into a fourth liner when he first started, worked his way up into the power play, became a first liner. And he's like Matthew Tkachuk. He's got a fourth line mentality that with first line skills. And those are unicorns in the NHL. They're hard to find. And Bill Zito getting it done for a second-round pick. It turns into a first round, I believe, if we get through a couple of rounds here. And Brad Marchand plays in every game. So Bill Zito, very, very aggressive, but it's round holes, round pegs into round holes. He fits our DNA, our makeup of our team. Hard to play against. Really skilled, fast, good on the forecheck, is going to hustle. And a lot of that, I believe, I'm not certain, is that you had Bennett and Reinhart over the Four Nations with Brad Marchand. There might have been some talk in Brad Marchand's ear about Reinhart and Bennett. Hey, you know what? We got a pretty good sweet spot down here in South Florida, even everything in the past. But the aggressiveness and what you add, it just adds more fuel, more sandpaper, and more skill to this lineup, which is extremely, extremely hard to find at the deadline.
And Billy, like people have been telling us, and Doug's told us, and different people, like the style of play the Panthers, like that kind of edgy guy where Matt Tkachuk fits right in, Sam Bennett fits right in. Why is it so hard to play the Paul Maurice style of hockey?
So the style is, once you get it in over the red line, we dump it in more than any other team in the NHL, which means that we're not carrying it over the blue line looking for rush chances. And that's what Paul Maurice believes is going to be successful in the playoffs. That's what he's always believed. So once you get into that red line, you got to dump pucks. And when you're dumping pucks in all night, that means that you got to be physical. You got to be hard on the body. You got to get the puck back, one, because it's leaving your stick. So you got to go down there and engage down deep into the trenches. And then what the Panthers do extremely well, they're the best team at the NHL at screens. So they work the plays high or low to high from the wingers to the forwards. And then they just crash the net, get in front. And anyone that tells you that it looks easy trying to get to that blue paint is wrong. You're going to pay a price. You're going to get hurt. You're going to take slashes and you're going to take whacks. But that's where you see Tkachuk score goals. That's where you see Marchand score goals. They're willing to kind of get into those dirty areas and do that work. And then the defensive structure, the way Paul Maurice has set it up, you got to be really committed in the neutral zone to turning pucks over, going the other way. And then the same thing in our own zone. We play a hybrid man-on-man defense, which is really, really hard, aggressive, and you kind of have to be on the same page. A lot of hockey IQ that goes into that. So if you add that whole total package and what it means to play under Paul Maurice, It is extremely, extremely demanding, and you have to have players that are going to come in, not only fit into your dressing room, but are going to fit into your style.
You can speak to this, Billy, because you played in the league a long time. Is there anything about a rival coming to your team, a guy maybe you've hated, whose head you've tried to take off a number of times, over the years, and now he's on your team? Is there anything where you're not able to put that aside and it becomes a difficult transition, or it's, hey, you put on our colors now and you're a brother?
Yeah, no. Whatever happens in the past doesn't care at all. It doesn't translate over. Once you became a teammate and you're trying to accomplish the same goal, you're welcomed with open arms. Even if you fought the guy 5 times in the past or he gave you a shot in the head, and we forget. We know it's part of the game. It's part of the rivalries, and this could have been a different story. It was all over social media, but what we did to Boston after their historic season, and we eliminated them in 7 games, and then beat them last year on the run to the Stanley Cup in 6 games. On that very first run to the Stanley Cup, Brad Marchand has a breakaway to end the series at the end of the game with 5 seconds on the clock. If he scores and the game doesn't go into overtime, we're maybe even not even talking about this. So the dismantling of the Bruins dismantling of the Bruins by the Panthers the last couple of years has played a huge role of where Boston has gotten into this scenario now where they're having a down year and they have to be sellers. If they had some playoff success in the past and kept that, Brad Marchand is probably still in Boston. That's what the playoffs mean, and Brad Marchand will be, well, even all that hatred and everything that goes into a playoff series. Once you're on the same side, let's roll, baby. Let's get after it. You're on our side. Let's do it, and this is how we do it here.
And Billy, with the rest of the season, because they're going to be in the playoffs, they're one of the top scoring teams and division and conference and all that. What are you looking for more? Is it just wins or loss? Are you looking for something that you want to see where you roll into the playoffs and we have the confidence that, like you're saying, we're the defending champions. Let's go get another damn cup.
Yeah, I'm starting to see it even right before the Four Nations and coming out now. The Panthers 10-2, 11-2 in their last 13 games. And it's pretty remarkable. If you look at the last 11 wins that they've had, those 11 wins, they've allowed 13 goals in those 11 wins. They have allowed 1 goal in the last 4 games. That's 3 shutouts the last 4 games. Since coming back from Four Nations, you've given up 6 goals in 7 games. The analytics play out. They're one of the best teams at defending the slot, at protecting the middle of the ice. It's hard to get there. And this is where I was looking through my notes about 20 games into the season. They were 23rd or 24th in the NHL defensively in goals against per game. It took them until about 2 games ago to get into the top 10. So they've gone all the way to the 24th to now around 7th best in the NHL. And all the metrics were pointing that way. So that's what I was looking for. Now you can add anything into this lineup. It's like an orchestra watching this team play defensively. They suffocate you. It's like a boa constrictor just taking the air out of you. How do you win in the playoffs? You need timely scoring, but everyone's going to tell you that you need defense. You're going to have to play that kind of style, and you're starting to see it come to fruition for Paul Maurice and this Panther team. They are bludgeoning opponents, and they're not taking nights off. The consistency is getting much better.
Hey, so Billy, we got Giroux, who was, I think, the Flyers captain in 2022. Okposo last year from the Sabres, he was their captain. And now we get Marchand, who was the Bruins captain this year. I mean, so what? Sidney Crosby next year, Ovi the following year. Like, who's Zito going after next year? You tell me.
Who knows? Zito, to piece this all together and to look at this, and part of it's a bit of a blessing in disguise that with Tkachuk on LTIR, that the salary cap money comes off the books until he comes back and plays. And then once you enter the playoffs, there's no salary cap. We saw this with Kucherov. We saw it with Mark Stone in Las Vegas. So you have that extra money to go around. And with the blessing of Mr. Viola, then you're allowed to spend that money. So this scenario would not be possible with the LTIR. to Kachuk. So you were able to add this money with Marchand, which was really good. You needed a right-handed defenseman, someone that can rove. You got maybe the best defenseman on the market in that acquisition with Seth Jones, 6'3" skates, not asked to play the heavy minutes here. And then Vitek Vanacek and even the fourth line. Many teams might let this just go under the radar and not even try to address it. The Panthers are 23rd in the NHL in the faceoff circle. They wanted to get a little better. They did not want to have Barkov taking draws all night. They got the second best faceoff man in the NHL, and Nico Sturm, to help bolster their fourth line. And now everyone down there on that fourth line is 6'3". You got a guy that can take faceoffs. They all skate well. And that was a credit to us last year. Our fourth line, third, fourth lines were dominant. So you go to every hole that this team was trying to maybe plug. Okay, you need a right-handed defenseman. You get one of the best ones out there. You need some depth, maybe someone that can win draws. You get that with Spencer Knight going to Chicago, backup goaltender, check. And then why not throw Brad Marchand in there right at 3:00? So Bill Zito checked every single box possible, left no stone unturned.
Are they better than they were last year at this point?
Quite possibly.
That's
I believe
wild, isn't that?
Yes. To think about it, everyone was complaining about the defensemen and how they slotted. And they were right. With Mikla and Kulikov, Kulikov is a 5'6", and that's where you would prefer him to play. And wondering, do you have depth on defense? Now you got Kulikov that's played over 1,000 games. Nate Schmidt is getting up into that 800-900 game territory. That's your 5'6" defenseman, and Uvis Belinskas. And then Nico Mikkola, which is really good, 6'6", and Seth Jones, 6'3". Good luck getting around that wingspan of those two guys with their stick, and Ekblad and Forsling. That's where the beauty is with Seth Jones. He doesn't have to play the whole game like he did in Chicago in his own end. He doesn't have to go against the other team's top lines. That will fall on Ekblad and Forsling. So there's going to be a chance to really see Seth Jones take off and run offensively. He's got really good offensive instincts. And so you start to piece that together with the adding on of Brad Marchand, a team that before the deadline, you thought maybe was a little thin in a couple of areas. Now you're looking like, who's going to come out of the lineup? This is with the emergence of Mackie Samoskevich and everyone. Paul Maurice is going to have a lot of questions of what he's going to be able to do with his lineup and how he's going to just rotate those minutes.
Really an amazing job by Bill Zito once again. He swings for the fences, and this dude hits some ding-dongs. It's really,
I'm going to get a hug.
I've said it over and over.
I'm going to get a hug next time I see him. Bill Zito better be ready for a hug next time I see him.
It's fun to be a Panthers fan because, like you say, I mean, there were a couple of maybe minor holes, and they plugged every single one and more. Like it's just fun to be a Panthers fan.
Well, this is the beauty of the organization, guys, is that you look back, and Mr. Viola took a couple of years to study it and kind of just get his sea legs and know how this works. Once he figured it out, he delegated. He put positions in our office. You go through everywhere, sales, whatever you want. He put people in positions that if you work hard, that's going to be your job. And you're going to do your job. I'm not going to interfere. If you do it, work hard, you're going to be able to stay here. So he starts with Mr. Viola, and you put people in position. Now it goes to Bill Zito and hired a GM that he believes in. Okay, you have to okay the checks through me and the money. But after that, it's on you. It's up to you to spend it if you do your job and do it well. That's fine. And Bill Zito has extremely well. And then once it goes from Bill Zito's hands and he gets those players, it goes to Paul Maurice, and Bill Zito doesn't have a say in that. Paul Maurice, 27 years behind the bench. He's going to use the players are his now. How he uses them is up to his discretion. So you got this chain of custody, very much like when Mr. Huizenga owned the Panthers way back when. You just put people in the right places, do your job. The old Bill Belichick saying, do your job. Quite simple. It's quite effective. And it has become one of the best run organizations in the NHL.
Does Randy Moeller have to sign off on anything anywhere? Does it ever reach Moeller's desk?
Oh, Moles is all good. You know that. Everything. Moles has been everywhere. He's been around as long as I have with everything. He was signing checks at one point there when we were in the dog days.
I remember.
I
remember.
I think he had a little hand in everything, trying to keep us above water.
He absolutely did. That guy was working 27 hours a day at one point.
It's become a little bit more simplified for him.
Billy Lindsay, we love talking hockey with you, and we will be doing so plenty as we get towards the playoffs and then into the playoffs, and hopefully, like last season, a long playoff run. Thank you, Billy.
All right, thanks, guys. Enjoy the afternoon. See you in the playoffs.
Yes, sir. Billy Lindsay, a legendary, beloved Florida Panther. You cannot deny that. No one can.
I love talking to hockey dudes about hockey, man. I really
He's
gives
so
me chills.
passionate about it, you know, like it's just passionate about the sport and knows so much about it, you know?
Yes, yeah. Like I said, I literally got goosebumps when he was just talking about hockey and before the red line and the blue line and that you could just feel the passion. I enjoy that.